Hey guys, welcome to the LTD Leadership Lean-In, where our goal is to help you lead like never before in your hotel and in your home. I'm Sam, your VP of Culture.
And I'm Richard. And if you're new with us, I'm just reminding you that we release a brand new episode on the 1st and 15th of every single month. And I'd love to invite you to subscribe, like, share, get these views up for us.
Yeah, love it. And I also want to remind you to please use our downloadable leader resource guide. We really believe that that's where theory meets application.
Yes, and thank you for those who are already sharing this, bringing your team members in, getting them all to listen to it. And as always, don't forget to email us with any questions, any topics, any ways we can make this better at ltdleanin@gmail.com. We really do want to hear from you.
Yeah, we've actually gotten some feedback recently, and it's been encouraging.
Oh, I don't listen to it. Just kidding.
No, I think it's been encouraging.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so as promised in our last episode, this episode today is going to be a part 2 or a follow-up of our episode from earlier this month, where we highlighted the 3 guest wants that drive exceptional service that were outlined in the book Excellence Wins.
Yes. That is true. According to the research outlined in Schulze's book, there are 3 things our guests want. First, they want stuff to work. They want product to be defect-free.
Yep.
Second, they want it now. Well, not really now, but in a timely fashion. Yeah. And then third, they want service to be great. So,
and the people to be nice.
And the people to be nice. Yes. So stuff that works.
Yep.
Fast.
Yep.
And nice people. But we also want to make sure, remember or remind you guys struggling today, remind you guys that the third one is the most important, maybe even important than the first 2 combined, because great service can overcome any other shortfalls.
Yep. And we also offered specific examples of each of those things and how we can really be intentional about fulfilling them, really no matter what role we're in. So if you haven't watched the episode that was released on the 1st of this month, please go back. We encourage you to see that, or at least push pause, go back, and then come back to us today.
Yes, you got some homework.
Okay, so moving on from the 3 guest wants, Schulze, you want to show him? Schulze goes on to explain that customer service is really and truly everybody's job. And he explains that customer service starts in the parking lot, right? Or really the first visit to the website, or even really the first ring of the phone.
Yeah, and he goes on to offer a number of steps of which way we can make sure that we're offering excellent customer service. The first is offering a great welcome. With a great welcome, you show immediately that you are glad this person has chosen to come your way. Mm-hmm. He developed the now industry standard 10-foot rule.
Ooh.
We referenced that in another episode.
Yes,
it wasn't Jesus, it was Schulze. His expectation of his entire staff was that as soon as a person gets within 10 feet of them, they must immediately say with genuine sincerity, good morning or good afternoon. And the key here is that the welcome is honest, sincere, and personal.
Yeah. So he actually notes in the book that after, analyzing, they did hundreds and hundreds of surveys, thousands of comment cards, and they actually used J.D. Power and Associates to analyze the data. But they learned that if a customer's first 4 contacts with the hotel go well, so as an example, right, the reservation agent that they talked to, the front desk associate, the houseman, the breakfast attendant, if those first 4 interactions, whatever they may be, with the hotel go well, then there will be virtually no complaints thereafter. However, if something goes amiss in the beginning, the complaints start to come in quickly. So let's say the check-in was too slow, the room, then what happens is, nope, now the room's not clean enough, or the food is too cold, and on and on it can go. So some of these complaints, they may not even be true, but because the initial impression or those first 4 interactions may have not been ideal or up to expectations, that temperature has been set from the start, and it sometimes leads to more complaints moving forward.
Yeah, it kind of gives us that little self-serving prophecy of that once something, we keep looking to continue to look for whatever our impression already is.
Yeah.
So if it starts off well, then you're forgiving, but if it starts off terribly, then you're like, oh, It is terrible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thanks. The second step he outlines is complying with the customer's wishes. The focus here is the focus here is not on our agenda, but it's
Mhm.
on theirs. We want to make sure we want to when you want to make the upsell, but what's most important is what's on their mind.
Mhm.
That's why we say, "How may I help you? I'm happy to do so." And then you listen, really listen to see what's on the mind for them, what they actually want out of us. And then it's our job to try as hard as possible to find a solution for their actual need.
Yeah. So not that we've had, a great welcome and now, we've complied with the customer's wishes. Now, the final part of that customer service journey is saying goodbye. So we've had a really great welcome. We've complied with all of their wishes. And now we need to have a good goodbye. And it's critical that we're intentional about saying, thank you for staying with us. Thank you for allowing us to serve you.
Yeah, the sincere goodbye leaves that last impression, the last thought we get out of it. And we really lose a lot of opportunity in our industry with that, with self checkouts or emailed receipts or anything like that. And so it does take a lot more effort with the intentional goodbye. We have a whole nother episode just about that goodbye, but it is really something that we need to be tactful with and give that real appreciation for somebody staying with exact word. I don't know, keep saying the same thing over and over again, but intentional and exact in what we're doing to actually show that sincerity.
Yeah, so I think I remember you referencing an example in I think one of our morning huddles
Mhm.
about when your time was it as a front office manager at the beginning?
Yes.
What did
Yeah.
you do there?
So there it was that the guests were getting emailed receipts, or we'd slide the receipt underneath the door there. And so that kind of was initially intended to get the guest to be able to leave out quickly.
Yeah.
But it didn't give us the opportunity to talk to the guest and overwhelm them with that sincerity at the end. So I wanted to get them to come by the desk, let us know how their stay was so that we were able to recover if there was any service mishaps. But I also didn't want the last thing for them to be given is how much money they spent. So there, I sent them an invitation to come by and hand me the letter back in exchange for some delicious cookies.
Yeah.
So that way, that warm welcome of that DoubleTree cookie, which is a little trademark item for them, is now with the last thing that they get, and they remember it and bring that warm welcome to a closing with that warm goodbye.
That's great. That's an awesome tip. I wanted to bring that back up because I thought it was so good.
Thanks.
So like we said, it's always important to say, thank you for coming in today. Thank you for allowing us to serve you. And in the book, Horst actually references an NBC, I guess, anchor person. His name was Jose. And he noted he was a weekend anchor. And he noted that the way he would close out all of his, I don't know, shows or whatever you would call it. I don't even know what they call it. But he would say something like, thank you for the privilege of your time. And I just thought that was so impactful, the way he would recognize that even though he's a nationally famous, sort of well-paid journalist, the viewers really didn't have to watch his show. They did so voluntarily. And he really and truly was grateful for their time. And I just love that thought because our guests don't have to stay with us. There are so many options that they have, places that they could have stayed. They chose to stay with us, and we should be grateful because it's because of their stay that we have the opportunity to serve and to, to be employed. So I know I'm grateful.
Yeah, no, that is a good. We also get a lot of gratitude in these positions because our guests are thanking us when we're doing their job, and it is always nice to really respond with that. Whenever somebody says thank you to me, I always say no, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I realize that I do that in my everyday life too, and it doesn't always make sense because it's become habit. But yeah, truly thanking them even when they're giving us gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude.
Nice.
I like it. So beyond that, one of the other things that's pointed out in the book that I really appreciate is this customer service is not only for frontliners, right? He gives the example of a chef. And while they may not interface with the guests directly, the food that they prepare has to please the guests. And so really every employee in every department needs to figure out who their internal customers are. And, I think if if that individual, if you're asking associates, hey, who's your internal customer? If they don't know who that person is, or if they're confused by that question, I think we as leaders, we need to help people clarify and understand who it is that they're serving internally, because we do have, yes, we have external customers, but our service, the way we serve our internal customers directly affects how they serve our external customers. And, so I think what a great thing to come up to someone within the internal organization and say, hey, how can I make things better for you? What can I do that will help us better serve the customer?
Yeah, I think kind of keeping it on your restaurant theme with the chef and the food, is it even goes to maybe a little less directly, is the dishwasher, whether it's providing and cleaning all the equipment for the chef to use, provide that, the plates, or even maybe directly to the customer is the silverware, right? The dishwasher is the one who's making sure that it's ready to go before it's polished by the servers, or doing anything like that, that if a spoon makes it all the way to the customer and they see this spot showing a little less care in this fine establishment, it may be reflected immediately to the server. That's their welcome, is that entry point of that first point that they see, is that the silverware could look better, that now they're looking for other flaws during their service, which obviously hurts their internal customer of the server that's dependent on things being flawless.
Yeah. So what does that mean to us? It means that everybody impacts, guest service, whether they're interfacing with guests directly or not. They have the opportunity to impact how we serve our guests, whether they're serving our internal customers so that they can better serve externally, or they're going out of their way to serve externally. And so I think the last thing that I wanted to highlight from this book, and seriously, guys, we could go on forever, but we're trying to keep these shorter. So we're trying to do a better job of keeping things concise. So I had to pick, but the next concept that I wanted to make sure that we highlighted today was the service concept of stop and help.
Yes, we mentioned earlier, but all associates have, or can have, and really do have random contact with their guests. The housekeeper who passes the guest in the hallway, like we talked earlier, a cook or a back of house position, laundry attendant is going about their day and has that interaction. And if they keep their head down and focused on, I'm air quoting for those who are listening to us, their job, that they'll miss the real opportunity or the true job of taking care of the guests. And not just being available when a guest requests something or asking those questions, which is the beginning, right? Being available, greet them, ask if there's anything else, and if they do ask questions to it, but seeking out an opportunity to go the extra mile. Go the extra mile for a guest. If you see somebody struggling, seeing those nonverbal cues, I'm making a lot of references to other episodes here, but if you see an opportunity to truly offer that service, and offer that true hospitality, that we can take advantage of that. And if there isn't, because we can't always solve these problems, right? It may be something that's, whether it's not in our job code or description, but it's just beyond their actual ability to do. We should know who can, or at least find that person who knows they can, to get this issue solved for the guest. Yeah,
that goes so far in an interaction with a guest, to just say, hey, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to try and find out for you. Just that simple step can really make a tremendous difference. And one of my favorite stories from the book, I just thought it was so impactful. It's such a small thing, but it's such a big thing. So he highlights this scenario where a maintenance technician was working in a lobby, and he was on a ladder way overhead. And while he was on the ladder, he happened to see a woman who was approaching the door, and she had both arms sort of laid down with her phone, her purse, her luggage. She had packages. She had her arms completely full. And that maintenance tech, he quickly, scrambled down the rungs of the ladder to hold open the door for her. And, when someone recognized what a kind gesture that was, his response was, well, that's how we've been trained. And then he proceeded to pull out, he had a small placard from his pocket, which contained the Ritz-Carlton Credo. And on that, it says, I think it was number 4. He says, we assist each other stepping out of our primary duties to effectively provide service to our guests. And that is the way they do things. So, for example, in our Rainmaker organization, in our sales organization, we have something called imperatives, which are similar. It helps us decide how to act, how we behave, sort of helps us filter decisions on how we do things through these imperatives. And it's a similar concept. So Ritz-Carlton has a credo. And on that credo card, they have a number of sort of ways they do things. And one of those things that they have is this sort of concept of stop and help. That they're, that the way they behave, or a part of being a part of the Ritz-Carlton family, is that they assist each other and they always step outside of their primary duties to provide service to people. And he really went on to say that, they highlight one of those 24 standards at the start of every shift. So that huddle, right? And so that the expectations are really clear and everyone on the whole team really understands that service culture. And I just thought that story was such a, like I said, it's a simple story and it's something that we could see any day, every day in our hotel, but it's simple, but it's not easy. And while we think it's obvious that, we as associates are paying enough attention to, we got to step outside of our role to make sure that our guests is served. It's not always obvious because, like you said, we're head down, focused on our work, and we're not always thinking about it. It's not that we don't want to. It's just that, if it's not intentional, sometimes we sort of miss it.
Yeah, I mean, we are a service organization and a business at the same time. So we've also been drilled in efficiencies and focusing. And I mean, every room attendant in our organization has so many minutes to do their job that it's easy that something can be distracted for that. We have a start and stop time to our day, yet a full day of work. So I do love that example because there's every reason in the world to not climb down from that ladder, right? It's all the steps that he has to take down, or this person had to take down in this case, is coming away from his job. There's probably other people who could have stepped in as quickly, but it's also a great story because when our guests notice when people are doing something out of their role. We see it in the comments. I experience it, whether it is, the general manager of the hotel, taking the luggage out themselves instead of finding somebody because they saw that moment, or, a room attendant taking a guest all the way downstairs and stepping off of their floor to get this accomplished. The guests often understand when somebody is going outside of their role to take the job, and has that much more of an impact.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, can you believe it?
Are we done?
We're done.
Well, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
All right. So recap time.
Recap.
All right. So we have 3 primary steps to creating an excellent customer service experience. The first is a warm welcome. The second is complying with customers' wishes, doing what they want, not so much necessarily what we think they want. And then a sincere goodbye.
Okay. And of course, we don't want to forget about that fundamental but very critical concept of stop and help. Perfect.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up here. Don't forget about the downloadable leadership leader guide.
Whatever.
Some of those words are correct. So download that little thing in the link below or to the side.
It really does help.
Yes, it helps really bring it in, hone it in, and get some value out of it. And let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Let's lean in
and get better together.